Nail or beauty school was just the beginning, right? What on earth do you do now? Welcome to the Salon Success Podcast with Monaco Nail Academy. Our topics stretch beyond nails and into all things salon related, business, marketing, and social media, and at the very least hits you with real, honest stories about our experiences. This isn't school, this is real life, real business, and really freaking hard work. Before we get started, wherever you are, thumbs up, tag a friend in the comments, or hit that share button and support small business. Hey guys, Penny here from Monaco Nail Academy, and today I'm joined by Mel.
Hi.
And Pat.
Hello.
And we have Hannah with us.
Hello.
And we're going to be chatting about the Salon Success Accelerator course that these guys did last year. It's not just one big sales pitch. We are actually going to be sharing like the good shit, the lessons that they learned and stuff like that. So do stick around.
And just a reminder before we get started to use my code HANNAH10 for 10% off all courses. I get a kickback from these enrollments, and they're how we support the production of the podcast.
My code is PATSITIV if anyone wants to use that one.
What about woo?
Woo!
And mine is Jungle Nails. You can also use mine if you like.
But Hannah will fight you both to the death.
Yeah.
Not to the death. Let's not kill each other.
Just a little
for
bit.
10%.
A
Okay,
little
a little bit of fight.
Before we get stuck into today's topic, let's revisit last week. Pat, what were we talking about last week?
Last week we were talking about last week we were talking about how the new year affects clients and how often they come. Wait, it is,
No,
right?
that was the one before.
Oh,
This
No, it
one was
wasn't.
Yes, it was. This one was what we can do in the slump, wasn't it?
Yeah, how the new
Yeah.
year affects clients.
Is
yeah.
that the same episode?
Yes,
Yeah.
we tangented too hard.
Fuck me.
Go
Because
again, Pat.
because there's a slump because clients change their habits. That's why. That's how they're related.
This is why Mel needed a snack.
Fuck me.
Okay, anyway, let me try that again.
I'm
Last
leaving all
week-
of this in.
Well, last week we talked about how clients may have different habits in the new year, and it might be because of priorities, time, because of budget reasons. And what are the things we can do to try and prevent that from happening? Or what do we do in the middle of a slump so that we, make it through, power through? And as always, Penny went on a rant and told me and Mel that there are all these things that we should be doing, but we don't because we're scaredy babies, and that we should just go ahead and do it. And yeah, it was a good pep talk, so you better go listen to it.
I was literally I was waiting for you to finish so I could be like, and Penny went on a rant. Who's surprised? And then you did it for me.
Yeah.
And then Hannah's like just logged on to do this, and I just know her brain is like, on brand.
I can already hear the rant in my head.
It was a good one. You should go back and listen to it.
Oh, well.
Not that you don't get a daily one anyway.
It's now on recording that I said I was going to go listen to it, so.
You're committed now. Alrighty, so from whatever the F we were talking about last week, since no one can agree, to talking about what these guys learnt from the Salon Success Accelerator course. So Mel and Pat both did it, but then I asked Hannah to join us because how lame for people that you already know everything to be like, yeah, I love the thing that we regularly promote. So then I brought Hannah in as well. To be like, well, I know that Hannah got a lot out of the course. I know Hannah knows a lot about, she really, took it all in by osmosis and a lot of hard work. So I was like, what a good combo to have three people. So, first things first, does one of you want to hit us up with what the accelerator is?
So, Salon Success Accelerator is like a fast-tracked version of Salon Success. So I did that as well. Well, I didn't finish it, but I'll say I did it. So this is like a fast-tracked version of that, and it works best.
What is Salon Success?
Well, I was going to say Magnet first.
Okay. It's business and marketing training.
Yeah, so Salon Success is like marketing training. So we talk about like how to set your prices, how to advertise, and all this sort of stuff. But it works best if you first go and do the client magnet. What's the link for client magnet, Penny?
monaco.ac.nz/magnet.
There you go. So in the magnet, we learn, I did this as well, you're building a magnet to attract your ideal client, right? So we're learning how to post, talk to those people.
And it's
Once
free.
you've done that, and it's free, absolutely free. Is it 5 days? Or is that longer?
5, yeah.
Yeah. So it's a 5-day free program. So you can go to that link, search that up, and then from there you jump into the accelerator.
Which is the paid version.
Which is the paid version of working through how to build up your salon, business, whatever you want to call it, efficiently, quickly, and just amazingly. So you learn about how to set prices, how to advertise yourself, your content, making sure you're targeting the right people, the right levels of where they're at in the cold, warm, hot scale, and all that stuff, plus so much more. So that's what the accelerator covers. Pretty much marketing, how to get clients, how to get amazing clients, and how to make bag.
And we do it over 8 weeks. So the original Salon Success course that you can still access, it's all self-guided, but it's got like nearly 400 items of content. Like it's so much information, which is why even someone like Mel, who is our perfect avatar, didn't finish it. So the accelerator takes the content of Salon Success, which is only valuable if it helps people, and then puts it into an 8-week program where every week you get a PDF with like, watch these things, do this task, and then you get a one-on-one, a 30-minute one-on-one with a mentor to help you like make progress and stuff. And so those 8 weeks are centered around different topics. So the first week we do business plans.
Hang on, you didn't even mention the part where there's like a 4-hour video that they can watch of us students going over it.
Okay.
You just went one-on-one.
Yeah, so on the PDF you've got links to lessons, which include a 4-hour recording of a live working through the accelerator, plus your normal pre-recorded lessons, and then all the other stuff I said. So week 1 is business plans. Week 2 is pricing. Week 3 is reverse engineering your goals, which you don't need to know what that means unless you've already listened to the podcast episode we did that touched on it, but it'll make sense. Week 4, we do reviews of social media. Week 5, we like boost up our photography. Week 6, we talk about editorial calendars, which is one of Mel's batching things she talks about. Week 7, we start building campaigns, and on week 8, we tie everything all in a bow. And working through each week, the first original group did it on lives together every Saturday morning. We recorded those so that anybody doing the accelerator from now on also has access to watching us work through it together. So you have that as a base for each week, and then you still have your like live one-on-one with a mentor. Is that better, Pat?
That is so much better. Thank you.
That's where I was going anyway, and then I got lost. So Mel already touched on the client magnet, but let's just run through a little bit of stuff about just like I said, this is not a sales pitch for the accelerator. Obviously, it is talking about how amazing it is and how you guys should go and do the magnet and potentially look at doing accelerator, but we do want to actually give real solid advice. So first things first though, can we touch on for each of you, what were your expectations going into the accelerator, and then what was it actually like? We'll get the salesy bit out of the way so that then we can go on a tangent talking about cool shit we learned.
Okay. I sort of thought this is just going to be the same as what I've already done, because I just did, well, part did, Salon Success. But it was so much better. So much easier to absorb the information. Just, I don't know, it just felt more like direct, and what I needed to know was right there. I didn't have to try and figure out what was really, really important. Like the accelerator just gives it to you right then and there. And doing it with the group was so fun. That was a cool part. And Saturday morning was fun, even though it was very early, thanks to early bird Penny. But yeah, I really liked it. Well, I wasn't really sure what to expect, but it was way more suited to my brain anyway.
If it helps, the 8 a.m. Saturday morning was not so much because I'm an early bird, it's because I do clients on Saturday and I didn't want to start clients and then have to stop and go into accelerator mode and then go to clients. Like, it was my fault, but it wasn't because I'm an early bird. It's because I wanted to get accelerator done so I could do clients in the afternoon.
That was my expectation though. So yeah, it definitely like blew my expectations out of the water.
My expectation was that I was going to go into Accelerator and finish the things I said I was going to do like 2 years ago. And yes, that's partially true. Like I got so much done, but what I wasn't expecting was all the mindset shifts that were going to happen as part of it. Like if I have a setback nowadays, instead of me like a full disclosure, I cried so much doing Accelerator. And it was because I was like just having to face things that I didn't want to face and being like, what am I going to do about this? And now it's like, okay, I have this issue. Am I just going to throw in the towel and just like give up? And it's like, no, what am I going to try instead? How can I make this work? Whereas before I'd be like, maybe I didn't really want this. So like the mindset shift was so valuable, and the fact that I literally missed half of the what are we calling it? Half of the working sessions that we did together, I missed half of them because I don't wake up early. But then I would just be replaying the video over and over when I'm going on walks with my dog. And then I'm like, oh, yes, that makes sense. Pause it, make a small voice note of what I'm doing. And then listening again. Okay, pause it, make a note. I'm going to be doing that. It's like, it like stays with me because it's like a 4-hour video. Like you can go on a lot of walks unless you play on double speed. And I continue to get so much out of it even now. And it makes my experience of going through salon success videos richer as well because I'm like, oh yeah, that ties into this concept. And it's easier for me to see how the different videos are related to one another. And yeah, I don't know, like it makes it easier to execute because before I'd be like, yeah, I'm watching the video, and then I wouldn't do it. I would just like, yeah, I get the concept in my mind, like theoretically, but then I wouldn't do anything. Whereas somehow doing it through Accelerator and having that accountability made me go, I'm just gonna go ahead and do it. And we had a mantra throughout Accelerator about done being better than perfect. And it really makes a difference to be like, okay, just get it done instead of being like, it must be exactly perfect. Because I run into that problem a lot where I'm just like, it must be perfection. And I'm never going to be perfect and things are never going to be perfect. So I'd rather just get it done. Just get it done.
Have you left any words for me?
Pat does this though. If you put her in charge of something, she talks so fast and I don't notice until I'm editing it. And I'm like, how are people going to listen to this? Like, you know how you put like I know Pat listens to podcasts on double speed and I'm like, do people turn it down to half speed when Pat's talking?
That would make a lot of sense.
Imagine listening to Pat on double speed. I would have a heart attack.
Okay, so I used to record a podcast of myself, like very short-lived because I kind of overthought it. And I would put it up to double speed and I would be talking fast. That's just, I don't know, I'm weird.
Okay, my expectation of Accelerator. I was wondering how 8 weeks was going to cover like 2 years worth of salon success that I, again, like Mel, started and never completed because I, like Pat, watched the videos and went, oh yeah, I get it, and then moved on and did nothing about it. And was like, I'll just come back to it. I'll do it later. I'll just watch all the videos and then I'll do it.
Good job coming back to it.
Spoiler alert. This is me coming back to it. Accelerator. Yeah, I was wondering how that was going to work out. And then doing it, it all worked out. And I did the thing, much to my surprise because I didn't think I would. Okay. Full disclosure, I did most of the things. Some things I'm still, as much as I like tell everyone else to do it, I don't do it.
Hey, but
So,
most is better than none.
Yeah, and can we just shout out the fact, Hannah, that you had a 4-month-old baby at the time that you were doing all of this?
Yeah.
yeah, that was a lot. With the whole 4-month-old baby thing, like I also have a 4-year-old who is needy as. So the schedule, like it was good to know, like this week we're going to make a business plan. So then I could go through and like think about what I wanted to do for a business plan. And when it came to like setting my prices, I could go through and like play around with the calculator and come up with an idea. So I was doing all of this like pre-work literally at like 11 o'clock at night because when else do you do it when you have children? And that's your alone time. And for some reason, that was the best time for me to do it. But not only that, like being able to go back and watch the videos, I could do it in a nap time. I could do it whenever I felt like it, whenever I was in the mood. Yeah.
And one thing I do want to just like, we already said it, but I want to make sure that everyone listening to this does understand that that original group had the Saturday mornings so that we could record them, so that we could beef up the content for future people. But future people have a group chat, which all of the accelerator graduates are in. They can help you. You've still got this community and this like super fun vibe and all these people to work with. And then you have your one-on-ones, which they didn't have at all. But you've got the recording of the group lessons. So it's like a slight shift in dynamic, but it's just as good. If not better, because you've got one-on-ones. Hey guys, Penny from the future here. Want to take your salon to the next level? Discover the Salon Success Accelerator. 8 weeks to unleashing your salon's full potential. Gain complete access to the Salon Success course, where you'll learn how to build a solid business plan, develop a powerful brand, set the right prices, and create effective marketing strategies. Plus, benefit from 30 hours of additional recorded content, weekly one-on-one coaching sessions, and our exclusive group chat for personalized support. Starting every first of the month, this accelerator program provides a structured path to achieving salon success. Join today and master your salon success at www.monaco.ac.nz/course/accelerator. Let's jump into some aha moments around the actual content of Accelerator. What can you guys share that really stood out to you from each week?
Can I go first? I want to talk about week 1.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so week 1 was business plans, and it's really interesting because I did do the business plan stuff in Salon Success way back when, but for some reason, being able to listen to other people talk about their identity, what their strengths are, how they were thinking about their business, really got me to think about mine in a new way. And for me, the aha moment, which didn't even come during week 1 because I literally missed that session. But as I kept going back to that video over and over, because nerd, I ended up coming to this conclusion that for some reason just hit me was like, my business should be fun and I should enjoy working on it because that's how I want my life to be, just light and fun. And for some reason, listening to everyone talk about it, going through all the different activities, it that really like settled within my soul, like going all deep. And ever since then, during Accelerator, I would try and approach the different activities thinking about how can I make this fun? How can I make this more systematic? How can I make it so it doesn't feel like it's this big scary thing? And did I cry a lot? I still did. Yeah, there were a lot of tears shed and a lot of like freakouts, but it's part of that healing transformative journey, you know? So I think having that moment of like business should be fun really made a difference for me and how I approach everything nowadays.
Yeah, I same as you, Pat, with in relation to business plans. I learned because I first did the course about 5 years ago, I had an aha moment that I realized that my business plan and my business goals, it's okay for them to change and evolve and just grow, I guess. And that was okay. I thought in my head that you had to set a plan and stick to it and get there and follow the straight line to it, when really it's like loop-de-loop, backward loop, around this corner, around this sharp turn. Like, yeah, it's okay for it to change and grow. And maybe once you get halfway there, you'll realize, actually, that's not quite where I want to go now. I'm going to take this turn instead. And that's okay. So that was my biggest learning thing.
Speaking of things changing often, the week two pricing episode, the week two pricing work was so hard and so confronting. And I know a lot of us had to really think about our prices at that point and how much it actually costs to be in business. And yeah, it was just an eye opener. I've always avoided doing that exercise. Like I would do it a little bit half-assed, and then I was like, no, I'm doing it properly. And I still don't think I did it perfectly, but do I feel a bit better now about the prices I do have than I did before and how I came up with them? Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, the pricing was a hard week for me. I think even though it was only week two, I remember being like, oh my gosh, like I just can't deal with this. Like numbers are not my thing. And we literally price down to like how many wipes you use in a service. Like it gets really in there so you know that your business is actually making money. And I got really lost and had to go back and find my way. But it all serves a great purpose of making sure you are actually making money. And it really makes you think like all these discounts and stuff that you see, you're essentially handing people that money. And do you want to do that? Can you afford to do that?
And it sounds really silly to like be factoring in individual wipes, but the thing is, if you write off everything that sounds really silly, it then adds up. So if we keep everything that sounds really silly, you get actual accurate data. And later down the track, do you have to keep updating exactly like all of those finite details? No, not constantly, but like having that broad information, starting in detail and then being able to work out and be like, okay, I understand my business is really important, which is why we take the time to do it nitty gritty.
The pricing week was actually really fun for me, unlike Pat. Like, everyone found it really hard, and I thought it was so much fun. I spent every day of my week doing that calculator, just playing with the numbers. But yes, I learnt that I really undercharge people and that I'm giving every service away for free, basically. So, and I'm going to get nowhere if I keep doing that. So, and it surprised me how much it really did need to change to be able to like survive, and not just like survive, like if my world crumbled down, that I could still pay my bills, which I think no one was really thinking about. They were thinking about like the initial right now and not a year from now. Like you don't want to change your prices drastically in a year, right?
Yeah, well, like someone was saying, like I was trying to get people to work out their pricing on worst case scenario. And one of the students was saying, well, her partner covers the mortgage and she covers the bills, so she shouldn't have to, she didn't say it like that, but she shouldn't have to factor in the mortgage because she'll never have to pay it. And I was like, you never know though. And she sort of went down the path of like, well, we've been together a long time, we're not separating. And I was like, dude, if he dies, you do not want to be thinking about increasing your prices. Like that shouldn't be something that you're surviving. And when you eventually go back to work, you should not have to go back to work with that on your shoulders and be trying to put your prices up so you don't lose your house. Worst case scenario now. And then best case scenario is nothing bad ever happens and you have more profit.
Exactly. Because that's the same situation I'm in. Like I don't pay my mortgage, Jono does. So like, but yeah, what if he does just die and then I can't pay my bills? Not ideal.
So what would be one thing from like say each of you ish? What would be one thing that you guys would recommend, or like one thing from pricing week that you would want to like teach another nail tech if you were standing next to a newbie nail tech or even an established nail tech right now? One massive takeaway that you would want to share.
Charge your worth and people will actually pay it. Is what I think I learned a lot from setting my prices.
I
Because
feel
I was like, I can't put my price up to that because no one's going to pay for it, and people are paying for it. So, like, charge the worth.
I feel like you're still regularly surprised by that, Hannah. Like every time
Every single client that books in. Because personally, like, in my budget, I probably wouldn't pay for it. Maybe, like,
Mhm.
I might if I really like you, which is where the relationship thing comes in, right? But people like these people, I don't really have a relationship with them. I've never seen them interact with anything, and they're deciding to still pay it. So, like,
Well, they have a
that's exciting.
relationship with you.
Yeah, that's exciting. Charge your worth.
I found it really cool that when we were looking at the pricing, like it was overwhelming for a lot of us. And Hannah, you were so good about being in there and trying to offer support. So for anyone who isn't sure, just FYI, if you join Accelerator, the other people in the chat are willing to help you. Like I had so many mental breakdowns, like literally like ugly crying thinking about life insurance because I literally pay for nothing and just live a happy life. But if my husband died, I would be that would not be great. So I was like life insurance and also looking at all the costs and stuff, and I was like, I got to work on this. So it was really nice to have people to bounce ideas off and not feel alone working on it. So that was good.
So then what's your biggest piece of advice for a nail tech that may or may not, they might never do Accelerator? What one piece of pricing stuff would you want them to know?
I think one thing that I want people to know is it's better to be aware of your numbers, and you can decide if you don't want to charge what's appropriate and will keep you afloat. That's not fine, but at least you know for sure where you're coming up short. It's way better to know how much you're going under by than just thinking you're doing really well and actually your boat is sinking, you know? So my piece of advice is take the time to actually write down what are all of your costs, your personal costs and your business costs. What are the fixed costs? What's variable? What are the extras that you're doing that you can actually try and save money on? Where is the money coming from? Because you can also see of your services, which costs the most for you to do. Are you charging appropriately for that? And if you're not, do the prices need to go up? Or is it that you're actually making the most of you're actually making the most money from one service, but you're pushing people to do something else? So maybe you should be targeting people to go to the service that you make the most money on. Um, and there was just a lot that the numbers would tell you if you take the time to do it. So, in other words, everyone should just put on their big girl pants and just do it, even though it's stressful.
I think as well, like jumping back to the business plans bit, a lot of you guys seem to have an aha moment around when in the business plans week, when you were comparing yourself to your competitors and researching your competitors.
I got super overwhelmed with the idea of comparing myself to competitors, especially because I wasn't sure how much experience people had and what about their location. Like there were so many different variables. So I kind of like looked at it, looked at what people are charging, some more, some less, and I went, I really don't care what any of you are doing. I'm going to stay in my lane and do what I want to do. But it was nice to see what everyone else is doing and just kind of go, everyone's different. I'm gonna do my own thing, if that even makes any sense at all.
Well, I think that's the goal, right? Like, fear of the unknown is so much worse than Like, you don't need to know the intricacies of their business, but they're so much scarier and so much more competitory than when you don't know what they're doing and you just imagine worst case scenarios.
From that though, like I also learned that like there's a very saturated market where I live, but like none of us are even like remotely the same. Like by doing that research, I realized that a service like I offer soft gels, and from what I could tell, no one else in my town does. But I didn't know that. I just assumed that everyone was doing them and that I was just in massive competition. So by doing that, I did also realize that my competition wasn't actually as big as I thought it was.
And all you have to do is differentiate.
With that, it was about like differentiating in the market. Like, so I found that there was a gap in the market for soft gels. So now I can market myself, like mostly for soft gels, and it's going to, find that market. And I'm no longer in competition with other people because there is no competition doing that.
Well, Mel, you had something to say about pricing, right? What was your aha moment there?
Oh, that's what I was going to say. My brain just came back to life. I was going to say with pricing, there's so much stuff in there that I never considered to even like factor into my pricing. Like it's not just the cost of your gel polish and your top coat. Like you have to think of like insurance. If you're at home, like you can factor in your power. There's so much other stuff to incorporate. And it's so important to get like an accurate actual cost to you per price. So then when you move into week 3, which is reverse engineering, you can figure out where you want to be. So money-wise, what your goal is per year to make. And then you've got your pricing. You can work backwards. Like we've said in the past, you're already with the wizard. You're trying to find your way home, back down the path. And you can do that through reverse engineering. You can figure out how many clients you need to get to that goal, and then you can go down the hole of how many leads you need and how you're going to get those leads and how you can use your social media and stuff for that, which leads into week 4 as well. And then, yeah, it all sort of flows, but you have to build that foundation with your business plan and your pricing before you can go down that path.
Yeah, it was really interesting how like I would be like, okay, I'm just gonna give up on week 2 now. I'm gonna give up on week 3 now and move on. But even though I did that, the fact that I kept going, I found I could go back to it and add to it and make it more correct because I was trying to be like, all right, better to get it done part way than not at all. So like even just going back to what you were saying about pricing, about you have to factor in so many things. Like I wasn't thinking about things like, oh, I want to go to Summit. Oh, I want to go do a business course. Oh, I want to have this thing. I want to pay for Canva. And it's like 5 million things that maybe like should that be in my budget? Like what are the actual essential costs at the moment? And yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, I should have a budget for my business instead of just being like, I'm just going to throw money at it because I feel like it. And then the reverse engineering stuff was like, oh, gotta think about all sorts. It was cool.
It's so funny when you say you were able to like half finish and move on. It's almost like someone designed the course to build on itself.
What a clever person.
I want to meet that person. They're very smart.
And just in case reverse engineering is going straight over your head, we do have a full episode on it, but the idea is that once you know how much money you want to make and how much money you make per client, you can work backwards to work out how many clients you need to hit your goal. And the students of Accelerator are tracking how many inquiries they get and how many of those inquiries actually book, which means they can then work backwards again to know exactly how many inquiries they have to be able to reach their income goal. So once you know, if I want 80 clients, I need 700 people to inquire. Well, whenever you don't have a client, you are working with the methods that we teach how to get more inquiries. because statistically you have proof, because you've tracked it, that a certain percentage of them will book, and as long as those people book, you're going to reach your income goal. You can't fail. So week 3 is about doing that maths, I guess, which you have help with, but doing that maths to work out exactly how to get to your goal, but reverse engineering, aka working backwards to work out that process. And that's where Mel's analogy of like coming back from the yellow brick road to work out how to get back and forward to the wizard happens.
That was so reassuring how we were working out those numbers, because it puts it into context that hearing a no isn't the end of the world, because for every no, that just gets you closer to a yes, because your numbers are going to tell you at some point, like let's say if it's like 8%, then like if you had an 8% conversion rate where 8 out of 100 people will say yes, will book in with you and pay you money, then to get to those 8, you just need to talk to like 92 people to get to the 8 who will book with you. So every no gets you closer to the next yes. And I was like, okay. Like I've literally read this concept 5 million times in the last how many years, but did I ever put it into practice? No. But again, like doing it through Accelerator and doing it as a group and having all these examples and being able to think things through with people and having that accountability really helped me just push through and execute.
And like when Pat says you just have to talk to 92 people to get to the last 8, you can't even argue it, because that statistic is based on what you tracked. It's like a real thing that is happening. You either find out that 2 out of 100 book, or 22 out of 100 book, or like whatever you find out, it's facts. You can't be like, oh, but what if they don't? You know that they do, which is also reassuring.
I think it's also important to know, like you say, you have to talk to 92 people and 8 people will say yes. Like, that sounds really daunting. Talking to 100 people sounds like a lot, and I feel like I would never talk to 100 people. But I just want you to know that, like, you actually talk to a lot more people than you think. Like, you know, like, you get so many more inquiries that you would even realize. So when you're starting to add them into this tracker, you're like, oh, actually, this 8 people is actually so much closer than I thought it would be. Like, yeah, I just want to say that because you said
it's not
92
like
and 8 people, and I was like, oh my God, I think I'd like freak out if I heard that.
it's not like back in the day, right, where you literally had to knock on doors and do lots of mailer drop-offs to people. Like we have the power of the internet, we have social media. Talking to 100 people is a lot easier now than it is like 20 years ago. So we can make it happen. Although 100 is still a lot. Like I don't want 100 people inside my house. That's scary. But
But
yeah.
also, if you do, like, say in the client magnet where we talk about doing events with your avatars, you could do an event at like an expo, or at a collaboration night with a Pilates studio, whatever, and you get everybody who's there to enter a giveaway. You might have just clocked off 40 people. Like what Pat's saying, it doesn't have to be one by one by one, but it also doesn't have to be a scary 100. You might see 40 in one thing. Like, we're teaching you to use events and different scenarios to reach people in new, high value, low volume ways. And yeah, so you might tick off 40 of them in one go if you're implementing a magnet.
Or even if you just go to things, like if you go to events where a lot of people, like a lot of your target client, your client avatar are going to be, or their spaghetti. If you just go to a lot of places, do the networking and that sort of thing, you're just going to meet people naturally, and you get to sell to them without being salesy, because some people will ask, like, what do you do? Or, hey, your nails look cool. And that's a conversation right there, and that's a lead. So we can make things happen without it being like a scary, hi, my name is Pat. Nice to meet you. I do nails. Can you please book in with me? Like, I'd rather die, thanks.
Hey guys, Future Penny here again. Just a super quick interruption to let you know that if you head to monaco.ac.nz/subscribe, not only can you sign up to our weekly newsletter, but you'll also get a free video lesson from our course, The Art of Pigments. That's monaco.ac.nz/subscribe. So do you guys have any specific pieces of information or whatever that you'd like to pass on to listeners relevant to week 3? Like, it sounds like Pat's would be just go out and talk to people.
Talking to old Mal, it was like, you can dream big. Like, it's okay to dream big. Like, if your dream is to make 80K and be able to go on holiday once a year, you can do it. You just have to factor it in and work your way backwards and know what you have to do and then work your way towards it. Like,
so without someone having to do Accelerator, because it might not be in their budget. Yes, I'd love them all to enroll, but I also want to give them some free value right now. So without someone having to do Accelerator, what would you say is their first step?
For me, set out what your goal is very clearly and what you actually want to achieve by doing this business, and then work your way backwards and then start your journey again going forward.
You really need to commit to the time that you're going to do this. Like, if you don't treat it seriously, you're not going to get the results. Sorry, Hannah, you go.
No, I just said just do it. Can you hear my phone? He's giving me a concert in the background.
I can't hear him.
Okay, good. Just do it. Like, yeah, you make a plan, decide what you want your business to be, but like that all sounds like a lot. Like, just start talking to people and start networking, because even if you haven't put the plan into place and started working backwards, like people know who you are now, and they know, like, you've started your leads. So when you go back to try and, my words are not working, but like when you go back down your yellow brick road to like start from the start, you've already started.
I get it.
That makes sense, yeah.
Like,
You gotta track it.
words, and couldn't put them out.
I just like that you made fun of Pat at the start for taking all the words, and then you just used the word start 17 times in a 20.
Yeah.
Okay, what about week 4, the social media review? Does someone want to do like a brief, like, and then in week 4 we did blah, 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 and this is what my aha was?
In week 4, we did social media reviews, and that was so much fun. We got to spend time looking at each other's pages and just seeing what we could be improving on. And the fun part was there were guides for us to be considering in terms of what needs to change. And if you watch the video, there were a lot of like, why are you doing that? Why are you doing this? Think about that, blah, blah, blah. And it was like a lot of not confrontational, like I'm about to beat you up, but like, oh, actually, why am I doing it that way? And should I try something different? And you will, as it is in life, you will get a lot of more information out of stuff if you're willing to be open and receptive to the feedback you're getting. So I was able to do things like use my logo as my profile picture instead of just having my face.
Well, what are some examples of what could someone listening take away? Like,
so for example, in my case, I learned that I should be using a logo for my profile picture instead of my face. And part of that is because if you're just using your face, people may not vibe with it necessarily, but a logo is something recognizable that they will associate with your business. And with things like your banner on Facebook, if you have pictures of just nails, there is a possibility that somebody will click on, look at it, and if the nails that you've posted in your banner pic are styles they don't like, or they don't like the color, they may just click out. But if you have something that more represents the vibe of your brand, then they're more likely to stick around because it's more relevant to your avatar. And so then they'll scroll down and start to look at what you do have on offer. And there was a lot to do with the social media review. We had to think about how are we presenting ourselves in terms of our captions, in terms of the photos that we're taking, in terms of the information that we have on even just our bio. Like, for example, a lot of us in Accelerator, we a lot of people change their name on Instagram to not just be, let's say, Patsative Beauty. It would instead be Patsative Beauty, based at like Hamilton Nail Tech, for example. Because then if you're searching for someone on Instagram, if you search Hamilton and nails, then you will come up because it has your location in your name, or people will be able to more easily recognize you if you show up in their DMs. They're not going to be like, what's this business brand? Like, especially if your username doesn't describe what you do. But if they see that you're a person, it has your name and it has your location and what you do, it's easier for people to place you like, oh, that's so and so. They do nails. That's cool. So those were just a few of the things that I was able to take away from that week. And I'm sure there were a lot more.
I want to interrupt and elaborate on one thing you said with the photo not being in the profile picture. It's not specifically about people not vibing with your face. It's people not vibing with that one photo you have chosen to represent yourself. So we want you to show your face. We talk regularly about showing your face. We sell relationships, not services, that sort of thing. But if someone sees a photo of you, they get one first impression. And when you are sharing your face or photos of yourself regularly, like imagine the difference in the types of photos you have of yourself. Like in your camera roll, you have probably got something really like profesh looking, something really pretty from a wedding maybe, something where you were sending a photo of you looking like a potato to your best friend. Like there is a broad range of photos of you that exists, and you are picking one to make your profile. People are going to either be like, ew, or like, if you show through your socials regular photos of yourself, they will get a collective idea of what your vibe is and who you are. So we're not saying don't use photos. We're saying don't use one photo in your first impression profile box, because you are limiting what they can deduce from that one photo into like, you might push away people that didn't vibe with that one photo but would have actually loved you.
Like if you did a professional headshot, like people are gonna be like, oh, they're very professional. I'm not. I'm sitting in my pajamas and I don't want to like get my nails done by them. But then if I post one that I'm sitting in my pajamas, they might be like, oh, I don't want that. That's not very professional. But like I'm the same person in both of those pictures regardless, right?
If
like
you
that's
post
what
them
you're
all in your feed, you get a collective idea of Hannah. But on a profile,
Pat pretty much touched on it, but the main takeaway, I think, for a lot of people was that when we look at your page, we actually have no clue who you are. So if you're listening to this, I want you to log into your Instagram. Number 1, is your name there? Number 2, where are you? And number 3, how do I book with you? Those are the 3 things I want to know straight away. And if I can't find them, I promise you, I'm leaving your page straight away. That's my mission for you guys out there. Check those 3 things and tell us in the comments, did you have it or was Mel right? Because I would like to hear that.
That's a good one. And I would also add to scroll your first 3 rows or first 12 pieces of content, or like, just pick a number and scroll, and then do it from a really, what's the word? Like critical, but not in a bad way, like critiquing way. Scroll your first few posts and be like, what would I think? Who would I think I was if this was my first impression? Like,
or get someone else to do it.
Yeah.
Like get someone else and ask them to give you their feedback of your first 12 photos.
Yeah,
they don't have to like
you do it on YouTube.
So fun.
Yeah, what I was going to say, and I think a lot of people, it was a big thing for a lot of people that came up, was consistency. Like, we're all posting these photos that we like, and they're all, I guess, for the most part similar, but they're not very consistent. See, I thought my photos were a lot more consistent than they were until I did exactly that. Went through and looked at my past like 12 photos and was like, none of these are the same at all. But the whole like looking at all of your posting all your photos so that it's consistent so people know your brand without having to like open up your page.
You mean like
Scroll
people
in their feed.
recognize that it's your photo?
Yeah, that's what I mean. So like when they're scrolling their Instagram feeds or their Facebook feeds or whatever feed, as soon as the photo comes up, they go, oh, that's Mel's nails. I really like her nails. And it's true. I can tell Mel's photos straight away. I can also tell Pat's photos straight away. Like, because they're consistent. They're always the same style. You get
I don't
into
know how you do that. I
but
don't think I have that ability, but that's really cool.
I don't know if it's because I know you more on a personal level, so I can just tell your personal like touch to it. But yeah, consistency.
So it
Which
leads into like week 5, right, with photography.
Yeah.
Talked
Yeah.
about how to create these consistent photos. Like for me, it's a white armrest with a really bright background and a really really white bright foreground and then really shadowy in the background. So every nail photo, well, not every, but most photos I take are like that. So when people see it, I'm back in their brain. You know, we talk a lot about staying in people's brains. So even if they don't follow me and they see that photo, they're like, hey, I'm sure I've seen that before, or oh, that's that girl that lives here, or yeah. So it's consistency photography. And then we talked about how we can still stay consistent without just having like copy and paste a bazillion times of your page of the same pose, the same background, like boring. But we talked about different ways you can stay consistent, but not same.
And just to give people a hot tip, if you're following along at home and you're like, but I don't have a signature pose. Well, you will if you do this, which is one, open up your Instagram or Facebook and just start scrolling through your feed and looking at all the nails or insert whatever your industry is in here. And just start paying attention and saving which are the images that really capture your attention. Because when we were doing it in Accelerator, we were sharing the things that we liked in the chat. And it was really interesting to observe that people had very different preferences. Like a lot of people were like, oh, it needs to be really clean, bright light. And I would just be like out the gate, it needs props. And just being genuinely weird like that. And so what you can do is save the images that really resonate for you and try and identify what it is about those images that grab your attention, really try and dissect them. And then that way you can start thinking about how do you replicate that in your own photos, whether that's for nails, lashes, beauty therapy, whatever it is, whatever your craft is, think about the photos that you like. If you're like scrolling through your feed and nothing is jumping out at you, you can jump on Pinterest, lovely Pinterest, and just search, like, let's say nails, nail poses, and start creating a Pinterest board with all the images that, again, inspire you, get your attention, that you really want to recreate. Another benefit of this, like, you figure out what your style is and what your signature poses are, and then you have like a catalog that you can repeat without being too repetitive. But another thing is that actually you can pull out these photos and show your clients and be like, I'm going to pose you this way and we're going to take a photo. Can you follow the picture a little bit? And that takes away some of the pressure because sometimes clients are like, I don't know what to do. But if you can show them a photo of something you've done in the past or a photo that's inspired you, it's easier for them to be like, yeah, okay, I guess I can do that. So 2 benefits. So make sure you get on that Pinterest board and go figure out your style.
A lot of the stuff sounds overwhelming when we're going into all the detail, but one thing that I think from my side of the view was learnt by quite a few of the students in Accelerator was to go into heaps of detail the first time so that then there's a system. So like when everybody is trying to find a signature pose, signature props, signature all this stuff, the researching part is a lot. So if you guys listening, set aside an hour to do what Pat described and research what captures your attention, you will then have a signature, like an idea of what you really love that you can then replicate. And when you're in the replicating stage, it's really, really easy. But like, until you get to the point that you've done the research, decided on a couple of key poses that you find really appealing, or like that's backgrounds, props, whatever it is, until you decide, you're having to decide every time. And that's what is exhausting. That's what makes it sound like it's just in the too hard basket, is because you're thinking of it from the perspective that right now, if you don't already do this, every time you go to take a photo, you have to think, how am I going to put the pose, the hand, like what's the best lighting? I didn't really like that. Like, if you actually decide a signature pose or a couple of poses, a signature background if you're going to have a background, signature props if you're going to have props, like all the stuff that we take you through, and then you set it up. Like, Destiny has this semi-elaborate background, but because she now has it permanently set up in a corner of her room, when she goes to take a photo, she's not running around grabbing a candle and a book and all this stuff to build a photo. She's saying to her client, come over here, put your elbow in here, let your hands drop like this, snap the photo, off they go. Because that hard part of prepping has been done. Everything else is easy, and decision fatigue is out the window.
I like it when things are easy.
Yeah, and like you said, the decision fatigue. Yeah, if we can put a little bit of work in now, like me, like we talked about last episode, I put in the work for a month and did all these schedules, and now I've got a month of content I don't even have to think about. So in week 6, we talk about editorial calendars, which is pretty much that. Like, we're scheduling what we're going to post, when we're going to post it, so we don't have to then think, oh crap, it's Friday, I didn't post, what am I going to post? And that's when you get the hashtag, look at these pink nails, they're great for summer.
Mm-hmm.
With your calendar, you can avoid all that. And you just, it's like when you create a menu for the week, right? You know what you're going to do. So every day when you leave for work, you can get your meat out because you know what you're going to have. Like, it gets rid of that decision. And then there's no hashtag pink nails for summer, which equals hashtag I forgot to take the meat out, let's just get fish and chips. Like, we avoid that.
I feel like a lot of people doing this course as well, like, back to the whole, like, I have kids thing, like, I haven't thought about posting anything in like 2 weeks, and it occurred to me yesterday, I was like, oh my God, I haven't posted anything. I'm failing. I need to go post something. And then I remembered that I don't have to post anything for the next month because it's already doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So I just have to think about next month, which is great because that's one less decision, and I don't have decision fatigue now over making a post.
Yeah, and now you've got time. You've got, like we talked about last episode with me too, I know I've got a month now to get some scheduling put in place. So by the time it comes around, it's already done for me. So when I feel like it, I can sit down and do it. Until then, it's doing its thing for me.
And like the way that we build an editorial calendar, you're factoring in making sure that your cold, warm, and hot audiences are catered for, that your 80% value, 20% sales is catered for, that you have campaigns factored in. And we put it all in to the nth degree, make it really detailed, so that then we can fuck around with it. Like, everything that we teach, we do a huge amount of research and prep so that then it's easy later. And so, like, we organize the editorial calendar so everything is in there. And then no one dies when you swap it. Nothing bad happens when, like, you decide, actually, I don't feel like posting about that today, because you just drag and drop and swap it to somewhere else and it still gets covered. Or you might just have a reminder once a week to be like, look back on the past week. Did you do an introduction style post to a cold audience? Or should that be what you do today? Like, it can be as simple as reminders. But again, putting the detail work in now so that everything's easy afterwards. Penny from the future back again to quickly interrupt and remind you to sign up for the Salon Success Accelerator, an 8-week course that helps you unleash your salon's full potential. Find out more at monaco.ac.nz/course/accelerator.
Yeah, it was well, I personally found it really, really easy to do that stuff when I was doing it alongside the videos, and like you guys listening to the podcast will have your mentor running through it with you. Yeah, it'll be so just motivating, I think is the word I want.
So for those that don't do Accelerator, what is a couple of things that they could apply from the editorial calendars week right now?
Just go and schedule a post.
Yeah.
Like, it's especially using Business Suite or whatever, like it's actually incredibly easy to schedule that post. Who cares what time you've scheduled it for? Like, you can work that all out later. Like, just schedule a post. So I started out by just every time I did a client, like, and I had the photo ready, I just scheduled it for some point of time. And then the more and more content I had, the more and more I fit it into an actual schedule. Because, like, obviously, if you do one client a month, like, you've only got one photo, but just schedule the post.
And
Just do the thing.
you can put a reminder on your phone to say at like 8 o'clock every night, did you post today? Or 8 o'clock every second night, did you post in the last 48 hours? Whatever it is, whatever you've decided is the amount that you want to do. And then when you're in a zone of batching like Mel or scheduling like Hannah, great, you're ahead of the curve, and every day you turn off the alarm. But sometimes you get into a space where you go, I cannot be fucked scheduling right now. I can't be bothered batching. And for a few days, you're off kilter. But that alarm will go off. So you go, okay, yeah, I'll just put something up quickly. And in the course, there's obviously a lot more detail, but like, we're not saying to just post something shitty and hashtag pink nails for summer. But what you do is on those moments where you just did not have the mental space to batch or to schedule or whatever, obviously the goal is to get to a point where within the next few days you do a big batching session. But in the meantime, you post a photo of the dinner that got spilt and how hard your day was, or the sunshine and what you were thinking about in that moment, or the dog and whatever, like something relatable, funny, getting to know you. You just get a post up and get into that routine of having content.
Those posts as well, like those funny, relatable, like, yeah, I spilled all my dinner, whatever. Like, I found that they get the most interaction and things back from people as well. Like, people like to see it. They like to know that you're a real person and not just a content making machine.
It's because in the day of like this Uber connectivity, where we are all able to be connected to so many more people than ever before. Like, there's research that says basically like we have ridiculously high cortisol levels that are going to like shorten our lifespan or something like that because we're exposed to international stress. Like, our unevolved like nervous systems are only supposed to deal with the stresses of like 150 people in our village. We're not supposed to know about wars and stuff, and obviously we want to be empathetic and understand what's happening in the world, but we're not supposed to have this many connections. And the byproduct of that is that we are all starved for connection, because you add so many that it becomes diluted. So then when Hannah's saying those spilt my dinner posts are getting the most traction, it's because that's the thing we relate to the most and can go like, oh, yes, I get that. Like, that's where we actually feel like we have a connection with somebody and can like expand on it and build a relationship.
Yeah, it's a really good reminder that your posts don't have to all be about the service that you offer. You can post about your dinner, you can post about your face, you can post about whatever you like, you can post quotes, affirmations, all sorts. So if you're feeling under the pump about, oh my gosh, I'm not seeing enough clients right now, I'm still new in my business, or I've just moved towns, or whatever it is your situation is, just be a person. You don't have to post perfection. Like, ideally, yes, you want good photos with great captions, but if you can post something and be real and relatable, and it can be about anything, That's perfectly fine. Like, you just want to be someone who shows up regularly, not just on social media, but for yourself and your business.
It's the whole relationship building, right? Like, if you just post nails all the time, like, yeah, your caption might build a relationship with someone, but like, they're building a relationship with the picture of a nails. Like, they don't know the face or the story or whatever behind the person they're making that relationship with.
So then once we have our scheduling and stuff and your editorial calendars, then the last thing we worked on was doing a campaign.
I think that's pretty foreign for a lot of nail techs and salon owners.
Yeah, it was foreign for a lot of us.
That
Like,
I
was
think
so
it literally
scary to work
says,
on, but so fun.
so
I think it
fun.
literally says that no one else does this, so you will, and you will be better.
Yeah, and it comes back to differentiating, right?
Mm.
Yeah. Pat, you're in the middle of like organizing your one, right? Fill us in, tell
I
us.
definitely am in the middle of organizing my campaign. And I remember I thought it was so funny because everyone was like, I'm going to work on nail biters. I'm going to work on nail damage. Like, that's what my campaign is about. And then I come in and I'm like, mine is about self-care. And it was just so random.
Campaign could be used, the word campaign could be used to describe lots of things. Can you guys, one of you, give us a brief rundown for the listeners of how a sales funnel works?
The way we learned about it, and this is good for everyone to know, is you start by running your ads so that people get to see, like, ooh, something is happening. And the ads will relate to your freemium offer. And so after they look at the ads, they'll be like, ooh, what is this freemium? They sign up for the freemium, and the freemium starts the next week. So it's a week of ads and then a week of freemium. In the week of the freemium offer, you're basically giving them free information, let's say over 5 days, that relate to the problem that you're trying to solve. So let's say it's to do with nail damage and repairing damaged nails, then your free stuff would relate to that. It maybe it's videos, maybe it's information about what you can do. And then at the end of the 5 days, after you've given them a lot of free value, you hit them with the offer because they're a very warm and receptive audience if they've made it all the way through all the 5 days. You hit them with the offer that you are going to give them from your salon. You're solving their problem. Would they now like to purchase from you? And then that's like the end of that funnel. And then you get them to buy, and then you do the thing and you execute and you make money. I think. What am I missing? Am I missing something?
It's basically moving people from cold to warm to hot in a structured manner in a short space of time. It's really concentrated funneling where you are going out and getting new cold audience members that you never had before, giving them the free value that makes them warm and gets them warmer, builds know, like, and trust, and then giving them a relevant offer that turns them into hot. So funneling them from, in theory, a large audience of cold leads through until that funnel gets smaller and smaller and smaller until you have a portion of those people converting to sales. And what practical, implementable stuff can you guys give as top tips for our listeners based on campaign week?
If it fails, this isn't what you asked, but it's important to know. It probably will fail the first time, or even maybe the second time, or even maybe the third time, because you haven't done it before. So, like, I've set myself up with the expectation that it's going to fail the first time, and I can only be pleasantly surprised if it doesn't. But the point is, like, you do it the first time and it fails, right? But you know now. So say people did sign up, but then your freemium wasn't cool enough and they don't want to sign up for the deal. Now you know that you need to work on your like freemium. That wasn't the question you asked, but
No, that's good. That's still a top tip.
I think, yeah.
The campaign week is the week of all of these that really needs to be like, I mean, they all need to be done to get the value, but like, it's really hard to give a top tip without fully teaching how to build a sales funnel. But the idea that something foreign like a campaign, you're already saying like, hey, if you've never heard of this, that's okay, because there's no pressure to succeed the first time. It's a muscle that has to be built. You have to learn how to run campaigns.
I think a top tip I got from going over the campaign stuff was, we talked about over and over again, make sure what your offer is worth high enough of a value, because if you're running an entire campaign for all the work that you're putting in, if it's for $5 worth of a sale, unless you can sell that $5 product or service to 1,500 people, you're not going to get a lot out of it. So you want to concentrate your efforts on setting up a package or a campaign that relates to a high value offer where you'll get more bang for your, well, you'll get more buck and more bang for your buck if it relates to something that you'll get more money out of it. Because if it's only for like $5 or $15 and you can only do it for like 10 people, you're not going to get a lot of money out of it, and you're going to have to put a lot of work in doing your ads, paying for the ads, setting up your freemium week, following up on all your leads. So you want to make sure if you want to craft your offer, make sure it's enough of a value for you to be like, yep, it's worth the money if I get like a couple of sales from this.
I think the campaigns is just, it's going to look different for everyone, and the way that you execute it is going to be different for everyone. Like even within our group, we had a lot of different campaigns. Like I was campaigning to target just getting clients. Like I wasn't campaigning a specific service or a specific person. I was just campaigning to get my avatar in my seat. But yeah, it's kind of the end goal with the whole course is teaching us how we're going to get there and then how we're going to capture these people. So,
And then
yeah.
I think you're the best person to talk about top tips from week 8.
Oh, top tips from week 8. So we did this whole thing where it was just about loose ends, so covering everything that we didn't get to cover. And so the top tips are going to be all over the place. For me, my top tips that I got out of it were to do with photography and caption. So I'm just going to share a couple with everyone right now. One was when you're doing your captions, make sure you're using really great words. So let me explain. So for example, try and use positive words, because if you're using things like that sucks or ugly or fat, like negative words like that could trip up the algorithm and make it go, "Oh, you're being negative. We're not going to show your post." So you want to frame things in a way that you're talking about things positively. So instead of saying like, I can't think of anything right now, but just imagine that I did explain it very well. If anyone has an example, jump in. Does anyone remember like
Well, if
flipping
you were
something
like,
around?
does everyone else hate cleaning their car? And the word hate will get picked up. So then you would rephrase it to be like, who
I
else?
love a shiny, clean car.
Yes.
Okay, I do know how to do it. Haha, vindicated. Another one is you want to be using words that relate to senses, because that helps to paint a picture and gets people to really put themselves into the situation. So are you using words related to sight that might make people think of things that they've seen? Are you using words that make people think of things that relate to sound? So for example, like you can say just describe like the singing of the birds in the trees when you're talking about people hanging out in your salon space, because that's what they can hear. Do you use words that make people think of specific smells? And that might be you have a lavender candle in your salon that is away from your flammable substances. Like thinking about all of your senses, or maybe the plush carpet underneath your feet, like all sorts of things like that.
And that sounds hard until you go look at your old posts and look for sensory words. You'll realize you are doing it fairly often. Like Pat's feed had references to like friends in a bar, which is like you can hear the noise of the bar. Like there was, I can't remember what else was in that post we did. If you end up enrolling in Accelerator, you can see this like on the recording of the live class. But yeah, like there's a lot of stuff that you're probably already including, and it's just becoming aware of it and then expanding on it.
Yeah, so those were a few of my tips from just thinking about your captions. And in terms of your photos, I know we've already spoken a lot about them on this episode, but just another one or two would be if you're taking a photo and presenting your work, what kind of cues are you including in your photo to say something about your salon or say something about the value you bring or how much it might cost? Like if it's just a photo of nails, for example, and it's completely bare background, the lighting's a bit so-so, it's just going to be a regular photo. But if you have a photo of in the background, you can see some books. That might mean, oh, you're trying to say it's a cozy space. Or if you have your products are displayed, oh, she uses a reputable brand and it's professional only. Like, what are the cues that you can slip into your photography to tell people something about your branding and who you are so that they can know, like, and trust you? So, yeah, just things to think about. And over to everyone else.
So, does anyone have a particular like piece of advice or aha moment or strategy or something that was a complete game changer for you from any week of Accelerator?
I'm trying to like think of a specific, but I just got out a lot of it from everything.
That's fine. I'll cut that. Does anyone have an example of like a challenge or something that seemed really big before Accelerator that now with those tools feels a bit more manageable?
I really struggled with my content calendar prior to doing Accelerator because like even though I had my content pillars and I knew what I wanted to do, for whatever reason, it just felt really hard to do it. But thinking about all the tips and tricks about captions, about photography, about your branding, it was a lot easier to just be able to create something and get into the rhythm of having your scheduling and your batching. In terms of how that might apply to someone who's listening on this podcast, I think what you could do is start thinking about the posts you have already done, and you can actually scroll back and be like, ooh, I can repeat some of these photos. Or it might be you've posted about the set, but 2 months later you share another pose of the same set, but use a different caption. Penny was talking about how, because she wasn't too focused right now on getting like 5 million more clients in her salon, she repeats a lot of her captions, but they all hit very important aspects of what she wants people to know about her work. So repetition is important. And one thing that came up was that we give our we give the audience too much credit, like, oh, they're going to notice everything about my post. But actually, most people aren't going to remember ever seeing your post, or they won't remember every single post you've shared. They won't see every single one. So don't be afraid to repeat where necessary. And that makes it easier for you to have a content calendar that's easy to schedule and publish.
I think for me, what was really scary for me was promoting myself in person. Like, I don't have a problem doing that on social media. I can do that quite easily. But in person, when people ask me my nails, I would just sort of like giggle and look away, like, yeah, cool, thank you, and not do anything. But Accelerator encouraged me to do that. So I made a key ring with a little QR code and a funny photo of myself on it. And yeah, now whenever anyone asks me, I just pull it out and I kind of watch their reaction. If they laugh, I'm like, cool, these are my people. If they're like, ooh, weirdo, then I'm like, oh no, that's not my person.
That
But
is
the
such a cute
Accelerator,
concept.
yeah, it gave me, I guess, the encouragement I needed to just put myself out there a bit more. And like we were talking about last episode, just be braver, which is my goal for the rest of the year. So just be a little bit braver and just keep on. Yeah. Keep pushing, keep putting yourself out there. And yeah, you will hit walls, you will fail, but it's all right. Keep going. Like Penny likes to say, nobody died. Okay.
Nobody died. Was there anything you guys found in Accelerator that you were like, fuck, I wish I knew this like 2 years ago?
I mean, literally all of it, so that's not a helpful answer. Okay, the thing is, like, you get a lot out of it, but also it's not just about knowing things, it's about actually doing it. And having that group chat, which we're all still part of, and being able to bounce ideas off of each other really makes a difference. So if you're out there and you are a beauty therapist or a nail tech or whatever it is you're doing, even if you don't sign up for Client Magnet, which is free, you should sign up. Even if you don't sign up for that, you don't sign up for Accelerator, just try and find a community of people who are there to lift you up and support you, and you do the same for them. And it makes it a lot easier for you to do anything if you have people backing you up. And for the low price of $15 to do any of the Salon Success modules or one of our art courses, you can join our community and be part of this cool group of people. So, yeah, you should go do that.
Always Pat with the like sales
Woo.
plugs. Okay.
My
So
code. Woo.
as we wrap this up, quick fire, who do you think would benefit most from participating in Accelerator, and who do you think should not do it?
People who don't want to have a business probably shouldn't do it. It's not going to relate to them. And everyone else should do it.
If you're not willing to put in the work, then you shouldn't do it, because then you're wasting your time. You have to put in the work. You will get the most out of it if you are willing to take the time, dedicate the time to actually progressing things. That doesn't mean perfection, because we've been talking about done is better than perfect. It's just do something
Okay,
and
but
you'll go far.
bearing in mind that not everybody is unwilling, some people are just unable, what was your guys' honest time commitment per week for the 8 weeks of Accelerator? Like, roughly.
Like the time it would take me to do, if we're not talking about Saturday's like live lesson, then I probably spent the same amount of time I would have spent on a client doing Accelerator stuff.
What's that, like 2 hours?
Yeah, maybe like two and a bit hours. Yeah. So like, and because I wasn't doing a client, it was in my hustle time hours to be doing something. So,
Yeah.
makes sense, right?
Pat, what do you reckon was your time commitment each week of the Accelerator?
I can't give you I can't give you an average time because it changed for me. Like some weeks would be 1 and other weeks would be like 10. But it was about having consistency in terms of always thinking about it. So a little bit is better than nothing. Yeah.
Like half an hour an evening, I reckon you could do it. Like an hour to an hour and a half per evening, great. You will be so far ahead at the end. But if you only could do half an hour per evening or a block of 3 hours, I think you'd be fine. Like, Mel, what do you reckon was your commitment?
I was going to say mine was a bit more spread out. So I would do like a little bit here and there, just when I had time, or late at night when everyone's done and dusted and it's quiet and I was like awake, I would do an hour or 2 hours. But other times it was like half an hour before the kids came home or whatever like that. And the Saturday classes sometimes clashed with my kids' sports and stuff like that. So it was really good being able to go back and catch up on it. But yeah, I reckon like even busy mums, busy lives, if you have to do what I did and just break it down into little sections, you'll still be totally fine. You can still get through it. And if you don't want to, in terms of who shouldn't do it, if you're completely happy with where your business is and how much money you're making and how many clients you have, then yeah, don't do it. If you want to learn and grow and even just get back into a bit of like study and growing your own self, then do it. Like, a lot of us that did it, we have established businesses with regular clients already, and we still found it super useful. So, yeah. But I think the only people that shouldn't do it is if you already know everything in the world and you're 100% happy with where your business is, then don't do it because you'll get nothing out of it because you already know. So why would you? Other than that, everybody should do it because
But I think, like, even you say that though, Penny literally made the course, and I'm sure that there was something that she still probably got out of the course from everyone interacting back with her, right? Like,
Yeah.
we would have given you a question and you would have been like, actually, like,
yeah. So
And
unless
I
you're
would
that
think of that.
person that's like, I already know everything and I don't want to change it all and you can't tell me anything, then you're going to get something out of it.
And sometimes it's even just like the relatability in getting that, even when it's recorded. Like you guys all skipped live lessons and then watched the recordings, but you still got that like benefit of seeing each other bounce off each other, having the group chat and stuff. So sometimes the benefit is also just having built that relationship with each other and seeing that other people are going through the same shit, and then signing off at the end of the week being like, okay, if that person could do it, I can do it.
That was a huge benefit, the community side of it. And we're all still in the chat and we all still are in there at least once a day, chit-chatting away.
Yeah.
What did you get out of it, Penny? Like, what's the takeaway you have?
It was really fun. Like I just really got a lot out of seeing. Maybe for me, it was my own confidence and being like, oh, okay, if these 9 people can all get something out of this, like even one of the students had to drop out early on because of something personal that she like spoke to me about privately, but she had time like the first 2 weeks, I think. And even that, I know that she personally had heaps out of it in that time. Like, I think just seeing the way that you guys interact, seeing like being able to bounce ideas. There was like a time either in week 7 or 8 where we all started talking on a tangent and we all ended up really inspired with like ideas for I think it was week 7 with campaigns, and we were bouncing off each other for like Pat's campaign, and the week that we all came up with Destiny's backdrop in the photo week. Like every week there was all these aha moments, and it's just really fun to have that energy and share it with people and be like, oh yeah, that's why we do this. In the real hard shitty weeks, you can go back and be like, this is why we do this. So second to last quickfire, if you could sum up your experience in one sentence, what would it be?
I'm gonna go with transformative.
Cool.
I'll go with empowering.
I like that. I'm going to say what you just said, Penny, like supportive and like village, like, you know, like it was like a little thing, like, oh, I can't wait to tell everyone what I did on Saturday. Like, I'm so proud of myself and they're going to be so proud of me. Like, it was fun.
Yeah, everybody's in the same boat, even though we're supposedly quote unquote competitors. So then, last quickfire before we wrap this episode up. What is literally of all 8 weeks, what is the number one thing that you would tell the listener to close off this episode and go do that thing right now? One thing each.
Sign up for go do the client magnet.
Get out of town, pick a real thing.
I'm like, what's there's so many to pick. I'm just gonna pick something that's easy and actionable. I think if you want your posts to be better, you should go and figure out the poses that you like and have a Pinterest board of it. That's a simple, quick, easy win.
I think it'll be like go and make your plan. Like decide what you want your business to be and where you want it to go, so you have something to work on and work towards. And you're not just winging it every day.
Yeah. For me, it's kind of 2 things. So social media review, do what I already said, go in, make sure your name's there, we can book and we know where you are. And then work on your editorial calendar because you'll actually start to enjoy it. Like once you take away that whole rubbish of trying to figure out what to post, you'll actually start to look forward to when your posts go up and the interactions you're going to have.
It's like a little surprise every time I like automatically post, and then I'm like, oh, people are commenting, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I
Yeah, I love it.
apparently posted that.
Yeah, because now I only post 3 days a week. On the days that I don't post, I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Nobody's like going to message me or comment. I'm like, no, boring. Like nothing goes up. Like yesterday, I was looking and I was like, why is nobody there? Oh, because I didn't post today. Like,
And then your like post goes up and people are commenting and liking it and stuff, and you're like, wow, I'm so popular. People
No.
love me.
I go and look, and then I'm like, oh, what's going to go up tomorrow? And then I'm like, oh, I can't wait till they see it. Like, oh,
Yeah.
I love that because I do similar things.
yeah.
Any final thoughts, team?
Just do the thing. Go do it. You won't regret it. And we'll all be there. And we all want to go through with you again. Let us relive it through you guys.
We discovered while we were doing it that I apparently nerded out the whole time. So, like, I will keep doing this until I die.
And I will love it.
But on that note, with that done and dusted, before you disappear, like our page or follow the podcast so that you don't miss the next episode. We'll be back next week. And Pat, what are we covering next week?
So, next week, we're going to talk about a juicy topic. It is called How to Be Unquittable. So, if you're finding people keep quitting going to your salon, then you should listen because I don't know the answers, but I think Penny and Mel do. And we're going to talk about it.
I don't think any of us know the answers.
I don't know if I know the answers.
We're talking about how to be, well, yeah, unquittable, but like invaluable to our clients.
So that they don't leave. They just stay with us forever.
Yeah. Until then, check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube by searching Monaco Nail Academy or follow our salons. Mine is Hard Lacquer NZ.
Mine is Jungle Nails NZ.
Mine is Petsative Beauty.
Mine's Nails by Hannah Klingon.
Have a great week, and we'll see you next time.
Positive.